In the wake of news reports suggesting that the Clinton Foundation may be targeted for indictment by an FBI investigation and that Hillary Clinton's private email server was indeed hacked no less than 5 times by foreign intelligence agencies, the 2016 Democratic nominee was asked whether she would fire the current FBI Director James Comey if she were to be elected president. Here was her answer yesterday, quote, "I'm not going to get ahead of myself by assuming I'll be fortunate enough to be elected. That's up to you and your listeners. People have to turn out, or nothing I'm going to be proposing will come into reality. But I would also never comment on any kind of personnel issue." That commentary follows hard on the heels of reports that Attorney General Loretta Lynch's Justice Department has put severe pressure on the FBI to drop the Clinton Foundation investigation. According to the Wall Street Journal, this is a direct quote, "Officials at Justice Department headquarters sent a message to all the offices involved to stand down," a person familiar with the matter said. A senior Justice Department official called the FBI Deputy Director, Mr. McCabe, on August 12th to say agents in New York seemed to be disregarding or disobeying their instructions. The conversation was a tense one, they said. At one point, Mr. McCabe asked, quote, "Are you telling me I need to shut down a validly predicated investigation?" The senior Justice Department official replied, "Of course not." Yeah, right. All of which means that the American people are now forced into the position of using this election as a law enforcement tool. We are supposed to be the judge and the jury and the political executioners. That's because we don't trust the FBI anymore to be impartial, and we definitely don't trust the DOJ to enforce the law impartially, not after Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch. If we did trust those institutions, Hillary wouldn't have any problems. She could simply say, look, if I'm guilty, then I'll be prosecuted. You elect me, and then the DOJ and the FBI will do their job, and the law will just work how it's supposed to. But that doesn't have any credibility. In a world where the FBI director refused to recommend indictment for a clear and obvious crime, and then announced a reopened investigation based on unclear factors, none of that has any credibility when the DOJ has become the legal arm of the President of the United States. So we, the people, have to decide. Should Hillary be allowed to run the very agencies of government tasked with enforcing the law against her? Should Trump be elected simply to allow the gears of law enforcement to turn properly? In this light, crowds chanting "lock her up," it starts to look a lot more reasonable, since the opposite is crowds chanting "elect Hillary" so she can take over the FBI and DOJ and stop her own imprisonment. Corruption in our government forces us to be the law enforcement body of last resort. That is tragic, but unfortunately, that's the way it is. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. So, tons to get to today, and I'm sorry we didn't have a podcast yesterday. I was on the road yesterday speaking at TCU, where we had 500 students, full house, 150 people out in the lobby. Wonderful event. I'm headed to University of Texas at Austin today, which should be another party, and then we're going to head back home. But I want to, we're going to do the mailbag a little bit later, so stick around for that. Lots going on today. First, we have to say hello to our friends over at Birch Gold. So Birch Gold is the place where you want to go if you're interested in buying precious metals. They have a free kit that they'll give you, a 16-page kit that tells you all about investing in precious metals. If you go to birchgold.com/Ben, they'll teach you how to take your 401k or your IRA and move it into gold, move it into precious metals, which may be something that's worthwhile considering how much uncertainty we're about to experience in the economy, no matter who's elected. There's tremendous amounts of uncertainty in this entire election. And so if you're looking to at least take some of your money and put it in precious metals as a hedge against inflation and uncertainty, birchgold.com/Ben is the way to do it. Again, birchgold.com/Ben. Okay, so tons to get to here. I want to start with the latest in electoral news. So do we have this map? Can we post that map? Okay, so this is what the electoral map, believe it or not, could look like. This is worst case scenario. What the electoral map could look like on Tuesday. Worst case scenario, a 269 tie. And no, this is actually not out of the realm of possibility. This map is actually the map that you get if Hillary wins all of Maine, if Trump doesn't win any Maine votes, but Trump wins New Hampshire, and he wins Arizona and Georgia and Florida and Ohio and Iowa and North Carolina. If he wins all of those states and he wins New Hampshire, he will have 269 electoral votes. Hillary Clinton will also have 269 electoral votes. That is not remotely outside the realm of possibility. If there is a tie, then this goes to the House of Representatives, which decides. But you assume these are going to be a lot of close states, which means you're going to get 4 or 5 recounts in states. So if you like 2,000, worst case scenario, this could be 2,000 times 1,000. It could be just awful all the way through if this ends up as a tie. But all the momentum is in Trump's corner right now. There are 2 new polls out of New Hampshire that show Trump up, which is really amazing. He was down double digits in most of the polls just 2 weeks ago. There's a poll yesterday that shows him up in Virginia. That's one poll among many. There's polls that show him down in Florida. There's polls that show him up in Florida. All the polls basically have him up in Ohio. All the polls basically have him up in Iowa. Unclear what's going on in Nevada. There's some polls where he's up, some polls where he's down. Unclear where it is in North Carolina. A lot of uncertainty in this race. My own take on the race is this feels a lot like 2012, where Romney made a big surge at the end, and Republicans, including me, thought Romney was going to win, and then his turnout game just wasn't Obama's turnout game, and Obama ended up winning on the basis of turnout. We have no idea what the turnout's going to be like this year because Trump has built no ground game. Hillary does have a ground game. So just realistically speaking, Trump's going to have a lot of very enthusiastic people, and Hillary's going to have a lot of very unenthusiastic people, which could happen, which is why I'm not ruling out the possibility of a Trump win. If I had to put money on it right now, I think the betting markets are basically correct. I think that essentially this is about a 65-35 chance that Hillary is the president of the United States come next Wednesday morning. But this is way too close to call for Hillary Clinton. And you can tell by the way that she's losing her mind. And she should be losing her mind because every day there is new news that is breaking. It's amazing. Every day there's more news breaking about how corrupt Hillary is and how deep this FBI investigation goes. So last night, Bret Baier was on Fox News, and he announced a bunch of details about this FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton, including the fact that she was lying, basically, when she said that her server had never been hacked. Apparently, her private server was hacked no less than 5 times by 5 different foreign intelligence agencies, according to Bret Baier. Here was Baier last night.
2 separate sources with intimate knowledge of the FBI investigations into the Clinton emails and the Clinton Foundation tell Fox the following. The investigation into the Clinton Foundation, looking into possible pay-for-play interaction between Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the Foundation, has been going on for more than a year, led by the White Collar Crime Division, Public Corruption Branch of the Criminal Investigative Division of the FBI. The Clinton Foundation investigation is a, quote, very high priority. Agents have interviewed and re-interviewed multiple people about the Foundation case, and even before the WikiLeaks dumps, these sources said agents had collected a great deal of evidence. Pressed on that, one source said, quote, a lot of it, and there is an avalanche of new information coming in every day. Some of it from WikiLeaks, some from new emails. The agents are actively and aggressively pursuing this case, and they will be going back and interviewing the same people again, some for the 3rd time. As a result of the limited immunity deals to a number of top aides, including Cheryl Mills and Heather Samuelson, the Justice Department had tentatively agreed that the FBI would destroy those laptops after a narrow review. We are told definitively that has not happened, and those devices are currently in the FBI field office here in Washington, D.C., and are being exploited.
It's an amazing story, right? I mean, he's exposing all of these details, and none of them are good for Hillary Clinton. These are all a disaster for Hillary Clinton. The chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mike McCall from Texas, he says that Hillary Clinton could face impeachment over this stuff, even if she's elected.
This investigation will continue whether she wins or not, but assuming she wins and the investigation goes forward, and it looks like an indictment is pending, at that point in time under the Constitution, the House of Representatives would engage in an impeachment trial. It would go to the Senate, and impeachment proceedings and removal would take place. Remember, the only last time I can recall when this happened was Richard Nixon, who was impeached and resigned before he would have been voted to remove office. And then I remember Gerald Ford pardoned him from any criminal wrongdoing. I would hate to see this country being thrown into a constitutional crisis because of Hillary Clinton's behavior.
And that's what we're facing. McCall is right. I mean, we are facing the prospect of Hillary Clinton being elected and then facing impeachment, although the chances of her actually being impeached, tried, and convicted in the Senate are extraordinarily low. But that doesn't mean that she won't be hampered for her entire presidency, which may be the only good news if Hillary Clinton were to be elected, is that she would be a weak president. No one would take her seriously. The Congress would buck her routinely because, after all, she's so corrupt, they don't have to pay any attention to her. But it is amazing. So the American people are being asked now, as I said before, to be law enforcement. It's our job now to be law enforcement because Hillary could come in, she could wipe out the FBI, she could put her own people in at DOJ, they already are. She could put more of her own people in at DOJ, prevent any investigation from going forward, basically be Nixon, right? Nixon, during Watergate, there's a special prosecutor, and he basically had him fired in what was called the Saturday Night Massacre. Hillary could do the same thing using the DOJ, and she could fire a bunch of people at the FBI to protect herself, which would necessitate impeachment from Congress. It could be a full-scale disaster. Wouldn't be a surprise. That's who Hillary Clinton is. Now, that's only if Hillary wins. So right now, because of all of this, a lot of Americans are looking at Hillary and going, we're not sure about this. This does not look so good. Like, we're not enamored of Trump, but as long as Trump shuts his mouth and stays out of the way, and we have to look Hillary Clinton as president directly in the face, that is an ugly, ugly idea. I mean, not because of her face, per se, but because this is just, the idea of Hillary Clinton as president is just horrendous. It's too corrupt to contemplate. Democrats are freaking out about this. Barack Obama, in particular, is losing his mind over this. Obama is largely responsible for Hillary Clinton being in the predicament she's in. Under Barack Obama, the Democrats have lost at the state level well over 900 seats in various state legislatures. They've lost 12 governorships. They've lost 13 Senate seats. They've lost an enormous number of House seats. They've done that because Barack Obama's coalition is not the traditional Democratic coalition. The traditional Democratic voting coalition is largely dependent on working class white voters. Obama wiped that off the map for Democrats in 2012. The working class white vote went for Mitt Romney. Instead, Obama won on the basis of very, very strong minority turnout. The problem is, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, it's not replicable. Just because Obama was able to get lots of black people to vote doesn't mean Hillary would be able to get a lot of black people to vote. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of the constituencies that Obama alienated are moving over to Trump. Now, the sad thing is that if Republicans had run someone who wasn't such a crap show like Trump, and they'd kept Romney's constituencies and added the ones that Obama has alienated, this would have been a wipeout. I mean, this would have been a wipeout for Republicans. Imagine if Republicans had gotten that white working class vote with some other candidate and not alienated the college-educated female vote, which is now going for Hillary Clinton. That went for Romney last time. If it were a narrow gap, Trump would be up by 5 in the polls right now. He's not because of who he is, but Obama is looking around. He's going, all of this was about me, and I'm not going to have anybody to pick up the pieces after I'm gone. And Obama is, I mean, he is, granted, the most narcissistic man in America, and that includes Donald Trump. I mean, Obama is a true narcissist because Trump thinks he is all of these wonderful things, and he isn't. Obama also thinks that, but he's smart enough to know better, and he still has no humility about who he is. It's truly amazing. This is a guy who, after the Cubs won last night, he actually came forward and asked the Cubs to visit the White House while he's still president. So he's going to steal that honor from the next president of the United States because he has to be a part of it. Typical Obama. I thought he was a White Sox fan, by the way, so he shouldn't be quite so eager to have the Cubs to the White House, but there you are. Obama is out there on the campaign trail, and he is freaking out. And you can tell that this race is a lot closer than Democrats want it to be by the attitude that they're using. Here's Obama freaking out about the possibility of a Donald Trump presidency.
I've got Republican friends who don't think or act the way Donald Trump does. This is somebody who is uniquely unqualified. I ran against John McCain. I ran against Mitt Romney. I thought I'd be a better president. But I never thought that the Republic was at risk if they were elected. And guess what, North Carolina? The good news is all of you are uniquely qualified to make sure the guy who's uniquely unqualified does not become president. You just got to vote.
Okay, and so he says, I hate this sort of hypocrisy from Barack Obama. So I think that Trump is an outlier, meaning I don't think he's in the same line of Republicans as McCain and Romney. I don't think he's a good man. I don't think that he's a conservative. But Democrats don't get to play this game where I've never believed that Republicans were unqualified for office before, that they couldn't be, that the country would be ruined. I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden, your vice president, was saying in the run-up to the 2012 election that if Mitt Romney were elected president of the United States, black people would be put back into chains. That would be a pretty big threat to the Republic, wouldn't it? His entire campaign slogan back in 2012, Obama's, was that Mitt Romney wants to send you back to the 1950s, presumably when women were in the kitchen and black people were still under the thumb of Jim Crow. Okay, so the idea that Obama's going to stand there and now he's going to say, yeah, no, I've always been cordial to Republicans, but not Trump. Trump's different. It just doesn't fly. You cry wolf enough times, when the actual wolf shows up at the door, nobody believes you. Obama's also panicking because he thought he could just tell black people to vote for Hillary and they'd show up and vote for Hillary. It turns out that black people are not just pawns of Barack Obama, and a lot of them are not enamored of Hillary, and they just don't care that much. So Obama is trying to lecture black people about how they need to vote more.
And I'm going to be honest with you right now, because we've got early voting, we've got all kinds of metrics to see what's going on. And right now, the Latino vote is up, overall vote is up, but the African American vote right now is not as solid as it needs to be. And I know that there are a lot of people in barbershops and the beauty salons, and, in the neighborhoods who are saying to themselves, well, we love Barack, we especially love Michelle, and so, it was exciting, and now we're not excited as much. And you know what? I need everybody to understand that everything we've done is dependent on me being able to pass the baton to somebody who believes in the same things I believe in.
I mean, this is really perverse language. It's the language of dictatorship, right? He's dictating to the black community in the barber shops. I mean, if a white person said this, think how racist that would sound. Yeah, I know there are a lot of black people, and they're in the barber shops and the hair salons. It's like, really? Black people aren't anywhere except for barber shops? But here's Barack Obama telling black people, listen, I'm telling you, you need to vote for my successor because I'm handing off the baton. Go out there because I'm black and you're black. You listen to me. It really is disgusting stuff. We have to take a quick break. Say hello to our friends at DSTLD. It's distilled, but it's DSTLD.com/Ben. And this is where you go if you want a great pair of jeans. So DSTLD, their jeans, instead of costing you a couple of $100s, which you can pay for a nice pair of jeans, and they start at $65. They cut out the retail middlemen. It's direct to you. And they are very efficient in how they build their clothes and how they create the clothes and the kind of materials that they use. But these are legitimate jeans. They're great. I have a pair of them. They're one of my favorite pairs of jeans. They fit terrific. They're really, really comfortable, and they were really cheap. In fact, I went back and I bought a second pair of jeans because I thought that it was such a deal. It's DSTLD.com/Ben. You get $10 off your first pair. So if it starts at $65, it starts at $55 for you because you listen to the show. It's DSTLD.com/Ben. And again, you get that $10 off, and you show them that you listen to the show, which means they continue to advertise with us, and that's how we pay all of the useless people who otherwise would be unemployable behind the scenes on this show. But it's great pair of jeans. You'll really enjoy it. DSTLD.com, distilled.com/Ben. Okay, so finally, Barack Obama is so desperate now that earlier this week, the White House had said that they didn't see anything wrong with what James Comey did in announcing that he was reopening his investigation to Congress. Obama clearly has seen the fallout from that hit Hillary Clinton, and now he's desperate, and he too is throwing FBI Director James Comey under the bus.
We don't operate on innuendo. We don't operate on incomplete information. We don't operate on leaks. We operate based on concrete decisions that are made. When this was investigated thoroughly the last time, the conclusion of the FBI, the conclusion of the Justice Department, the conclusion of repeated congressional investigations was that she had made some mistakes, but that there wasn't anything there that was prosecutable.
Okay, so that's it's amazing. The Democrats have now shifted completely against Comey in protection of their gal. That's how you know they're desperate. Well, you have to break here on Facebook and YouTube, but if you want to continue watching, go over to dailywire.com, become a subscriber. If you're an annual subscriber, then you get a free copy of my book, True Allegiance, signed by me. Obviously, if you're a subscriber, you also get Andrew Klavan's show. You get to be part of the mailbag. Today we're on the road, so we can't do live mailbag. But in terms of you writing into me while I'm on the air, but I will be doing the mailbag, and your questions only get answered in the mailbag if you are a member at the site at dailywire.com, and it is a fantastic deal. We're adding new features all the time. We're going to be adding new content that you're going to be able to participate in because you're a member over at dailywire.com. Check it out. We are the top conservative podcast in America.